Alert, alert, this is a Doomcock News alert. Alert, alert, this is a Doomcock News alert.
This week, my Twitter account, emails, and Patreon messages have all exploded with the joyous news Viacom is merging with CBS. Star Trek is saved! Or is it? That's the question of the moment, and so it is with a heavy heart that I make this video to bring you a little better understanding of the intricacies of the situation as my sources have explained it to me. As always with this kind of information, treat it as a rumor, though at this point I personally regard it with a high degree of credibility. Your mileage may vary. So, what's happening with Star Trek? Does the merger of Viacom and CBS mean that all the Star Trek rights will be under one roof again, the absurdly complex licensing nonsense will cease, and the newly formed Viacom CBS Corporation will get back to making real Star Trek again? The answer, I fear, is less yes than no. While it is theoretically true that this merger would remove a lot of stumbling blocks to the reunification and revival of Star Trek, there yet remains the problem of Bad Robot. Bad Robot is like malaria laced with anal warts. Just when you think you've gotten over the malaria, it flares up again, turning you into a sweating, shivering mess of delirium and fever with anal warts. The anal warts are important in this analogy, and they have names: Jar Jar Abrams, Alex Kurtzman, Akiva Goldsman. They're the insult to the injury, but ultimately the malaria is Les Moonves, the one who allowed the anal warts to grow on the ass of Star Trek. As loathsome and nettlesome as the Bad Robot contagion is, it is Moonves and his vicious, seemingly vindictive sabotage of poor CBS that remains at the heart of the STD afflicting the company. Yes, the fact that it burns when CBS pees is due to Les Moonves, and the poison pill he left for CBS in the form of Bad Robot is the reason why even with this merger, Star Trek's future looks grim. Allow me to explain. The poison pills in question are the contract between Moonves and Secret Hideout, the Bad Robot Puppet Company, and the Bad Robot license with Viacom for the movie development side, both contracts written in poop straight from Satan's bunghole. Now this past July, the fandom rejoiced when it was rumored that at last the Jar Jar Abrams verse, the so-called Kelvin timeline, was dead when Bad Robot failed to have a Star Trek film in production by the contractual deadline. So on the movie end, the Star Trek films were dead, according to my source. That's why the Tarantino film has always been a lot of hot air, because Tarantino's deal was reportedly made with Bad Robot. Yes, it appears that Tarantino had been willing to do that project, and yes, there is a story. But the collapse of funding for Star Trek 4 and Bad Robot's subsequent failure to get another movie in production prior to the deadline all seem to have caused the Abrams license on the film side to collapse, at least according to my source. And rumor has it, Paramount was not at all eager to renew that license, allegedly laughing Kurtzman out of the room when he pitched an STD feature film. All well and good, but there's a problem. The horrid Star Trek license remains in effect on the CBS side of the equation. As I reported to much disbelief, scorn, and mockery, Star Trek Picard is being produced under the Secret Hideout license and is a part of the abominable STD universe, the perverted bizarro crap that they try to foist off as Star Trek these days. That has been confirmed, and I have been proven right again on that. So the Bad Robot / Secret Hideout license is still alive and kicking on the CBS end of things. And the problem is, with all the contracts involved, it is reported to me that if the new Viacom CBS orders any Star Trek movie after the merger, that will automatically extend all contracts and licenses for 3 years. Why? Reportedly because there are non-competes in the contracts with a grace period during which Trek cannot compete with Trek on screen. Yes, Viacom is merging with CBS. The head of Viacom, Bob Bakish, will be the CEO of the new merged company. That at least is promising. But The CEO and chairman of CBS will be Joe Ianiello, a Moonves loyalist who is not at all inclined to admit that CBS fucked up with Star Trek Discovery, believing that CBS All Access is extremely important to the newly recombined company. Never mind that Star Trek Discovery is the thing that is destroying CBS All Access. They believe that it is key to the success of CBS All Access, and laboring under that delusion, they are proceeding. It seems a safe bet that Ianiello will be pushing for a Star Trek movie to complement the loathsome Kurtzman experiment on CBS All Access, in essence tripling down on the massive failure of STD yet again. One would hope and pray that saner heads will prevail, but the fact remains, Bad Robot has their filthy talons dug into Star Trek's throat. So Paramount, even though unwilling to renew the Bad Robot license for cinematic Star Trek, is being forced to merge with CBS, where Bad Robot's contract is still in play. So if Viacom CBS orders a movie, while Bad Robot still has a contract with CBS, that reportedly triggers a 3-year extension on the contract for both film and television. And that means this merger won't help save Star Trek at all. This is heartbreaking news, no doubt. Moonves and Bad Robot have collectively destroyed Star Trek. Bad Robot killing it out of greed, and Moonves presumably out of contempt and spite, as Moonves reportedly hated Star Trek specifically and science fiction in general, and his scorn for the property resulted in the birth of this bastard cuckoo of Roddenberry's masterpiece. Just when we think we're getting free of Bad Robot's insidious death grip, a new contractual wrinkle pops up to destroy all hope. Bad Robot sucks at making entertainment, but they certainly do excel at making contracts. So is there any hope at all? There is a small glimmer of hope in Sherry Redstone. It is rumored that she's well aware of how screwed up Star Trek is these days, and it is my understanding that she may be keen to sell Star Trek and be done with it. It is unclear what would happen to the Bad Robot license in the event of a sale. It has been represented to me that this might be a way to save the franchise, but not knowing the details of the contract, it seems likely to me that the Bad Robot encumbrances would survive the sale of Star Trek and still remain in effect, inflicted upon the third purchasing party. Or even worse, what if Bad Robot bought Star Trek? You see, it's questions like these that make it hard for Doomcock to sleep at night. But my friends, I'm here to tell you, nothing can stop Star Trek Disgracery Season 3 or Star Trek Picard at this point. The merger would not halt those. They're too far along. I wish I had better news for you guys, but I will say this at least. The Viacom CBS merger is extremely chaotic, and in chaos, there is always hope. Perhaps Bob Bakish will wield his authority to inflict some sanity on the situation, do whatever they have to do to send Bad Robot packing, realizing that this is the only way to save their crown jewel, with patience and long-term strategy. Perhaps Apple or Amazon will purchase Star Trek, and some kind of legal maneuvering will finally drive a stake through the heart of the Bad Robot license, and some cure for these nettlesome anal warts may finally be found. But one thing is clear. So long as Bad Robot has anything to do with it, Star Trek is dead, regardless of who owns it. From the center of the earth, this is Dictor Van Doomcock bidding you all, my friends, stay angry.
Ha 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 ha.